The apron hit Layla's chest before she could react. "Put it on," Constance Whitmore's voice carried across the marble foyer. "Since you're so good at this catering thing, make yourself useful." Layla's fingers closed around the fabric. 60 guests in the dining room, Derek's entire family, his business partners, all waiting for the dinner she'd been forced to prepare because the actual caterer wasn't good enough for Constance's standards. "Mom, that's not," Derek started. "Derek." One word from his mother. He went quiet. Always quiet when it mattered. Layla's throat tightened. She tied the apron strings, her hands steady even as her chest hollowed out. 2 years of this, 2 years of shrinking herself smaller and smaller until she barely recognized the woman in the mirror. Miles appeared in the doorway with his phone up, recording. "To keeping my sister-in-law in her natural habitat," he announced to his social media followers. The guests laughed. The kitchen smelled like rosemary and her own humiliation. Layla checked the lamb, perfectly pink in the center, just like Constance demanded. The roasted vegetables glistened with olive oil and herbs. She'd made individual chocolate soufflés because Miles mentioned wanting them last week. Everything was perfect because it had to be perfect. The Whitmores didn't accept anything less, especially not from her. Her phone buzzed. She wiped her hands on the apron before checking. "Derek. Just go with it tonight, please. The investors are here." She stared at the screen. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "This is wrong." Just, "Go with it." She typed back, "I'm your wife, not your employee." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. On Derek. "We'll talk later. Later. Always later. Later when his mother wasn't watching. Later when his trust fund wasn't at stake. Later when it was convenient for everyone except her." Layla set the phone down and returned to plating. Her adoptive mother, Grace, had taught her to cook. Sunday dinners that lasted for hours, the kitchen full of laughter and Mary J. Blige playing on the radio. Grace would have walked out of this house the first time Constance looked down her nose at Layla. But Grace had been gone 5 years now, and Layla had nobody to tell her what to do anymore. Maybe that was the problem. She'd forgotten how to fight for herself. "Smells divine in here." Layla turned. Jennifer Hayes stood in the doorway, one of Derek's college friends, married to a banker. She'd always been kind to Layla, or at least less cruel than the others. "Mom, thank you," Layla said, managing a smile. "This is ridiculous, you know." Jennifer's voice dropped low. "What they're doing to you. It's fine. It's not fine. You're family. You should be at that table." Family. The word tasted bitter. The Whitmores had made it clear from the beginning. She wasn't family. She was the mistake Derek made when he was going through his rebellious phase at 31. A black woman with no pedigree, no trust fund, no connections. Just a catering business she'd built from nothing, and a smile that Derek once said lit up entire rooms. He didn't say that anymore. "I should get these appetizers out," Layla said, lifting the tray of bacon-wrapped dates stuffed with goat cheese. Jennifer touched her arm. "Layla, you deserve better than this." The words settled somewhere in Layla's chest, heavy and true. And she nodded once, not trusting her voice, and carried the tray toward the dining room. The conversation died when she entered. 60 pairs of eyes tracked her movement across the room. She was the entertainment, the daughter-in-law forced to play servant at her own family's party. Someone's phone was up, recording. Probably for social media, probably already posted with some caption about knowing your place. "Careful with those," Constance called from the head of the table. "They're expensive ingredients, not the cheap cuts you're probably used to." Laughter rippled through the room, polite, performative laughter from people who'd learned cruelty in prep schools and country clubs. Layla placed the tray down with steady hands. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. "Thank you, Layla," Derek said quietly from his seat. When his eyes wouldn't meet hers, she walked back to the kitchen with her spine straight and her jaw tight. Behind her, she heard Miles start another story about his recent trip to Monaco. The conversation moved on. She was already forgotten. The soufflés needed another 8 minutes. Layla leaned against the counter and closed her eyes, breathed, counted to 10, opened her eyes, the industrial mixer, the 6-burner stove, the Sub-Zero refrigerator stocked with organic everything. This kitchen was worth more than her entire apartment before she married Derek, before she gave up her lease because married couples live together, darling. before she gave up most of her catering clients because Constance said it was embarrassing for a Whitmore wife to work, before she gave up everything that made her feel like herself. A car door slammed outside. Odd. All the guests were already here. Layla glanced toward the window but couldn't see the front drive from this angle. The doorbell rang. Voices in the foyer, Constance's irritated tone, someone responding calmly. Layla ignored it and focused on the soufflés. 7 minutes left. Footsteps approached the kitchen, multiple sets, fast. The swinging door burst open. A woman in a sharp navy suit stood there, late 50s, black, with kind eyes and an expression that somehow combined sympathy and steel. 2 men in similar suits flanked her. Security, Layla realized. Their stance, their awareness of the room, the way their hands hovered near their jackets. "Mrs. Mitchell," the woman said, using Layla's maiden name. "My name is Simone Marshall. I'm an attorney and chief of security for Mitchell Technologies." Layla's hands went still on the counter. "I think you have the wrong person." "I don't." Simone stepped fully into the kitchen. Behind her, Layla could see the dining room. Everyone had stopped eating, craning their necks to see what was happening. "Your mother asked me to find you. She's been looking for you for 32 years. The kitchen tilted. Layla gripped the counter. "My mother died 5 years ago," she said, her voice coming from somewhere far away. "Grace Mitchell was a wonderful woman. I know she loved you very much." Simone's voice softened. "But she wasn't your biological mother. She adopted you when you were 6 months old. Your birth mother is Vivian Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Technologies. She never stopped searching for you." The timer beeped. The soufflés were done. Layla stared at the oven, at the timer, at this woman saying impossible things in this kitchen where she'd spent the evening being treated like help. "That's not possible," she whispered. Simone pulled a folder from her briefcase. "DNA results, birth records, the adoption papers with Grace's signature, and this," she held out a photograph. Layla took it with shaking hands. A young woman, maybe 19, holding a baby. The woman had Layla's eyes, her nose, her smile. She was sitting in what looked like a hospital room, staring at the baby with an expression of pure, devastating love. "That's your mother," Simone said gently. 6 hours after you were born, before her parents forced her to give you up. "No," Layla set the photo down. "No, this doesn't make sense. Grace would have told me. She left you a letter. It was in her will, to be delivered to you when you turned 30. But her executor couldn't find you after you married and changed your name." Simone handed her an envelope, old, yellowed at the edges, sealed with wax, Grace's handwriting on the front, "For Layla, when she's ready." Layla's legs gave out. She sat hard on the kitchen floor, still holding the envelope. Constance's voice cut through from the doorway. "What is the meaning of this? This is a private dinner party." Simone turned slowly. When she spoke, her voice could have cut glass. "Mrs. Whitmore, your daughter-in-law is the biological child of Vivian Mitchell, one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the country. Ms. Mitchell has been searching for Layla for over 3 decades. She's outside now, waiting. She wanted Layla to have a choice about whether to meet her." The dining room had gone silent, completely silent. Miles appeared next to his mother. "Wait, Mitchell Technologies, the billion-dollar company?" "Yes." Simone's expression didn't change. "Though I should clarify, Ms. Mitchell isn't here about money or inheritance. She's here because she's been looking for her daughter since she was forced to give her up at 19. She just wants to meet Layla, if Layla wants to meet her." Derek pushed through the crowd. "Layla, what? Don't?" The word came out sharp. Layla stood, the letter still in her hand. "Don't say anything right now." His face crumpled. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You knew what your family was doing to me tonight. You knew, and you let it happen. Again." She looked at Constance, at Miles, at the 60 people in the dining room who'd watched her humiliation like it was dinner theater. "You made me put on this apron. You made me serve in my own family's home. You made me feel like I was nothing." Her voice didn't shake. That surprised her. "And now you're standing here looking shocked because it turns out I come from money after all. That's what matters to you. Not that I'm a person, not that I'm Derek's wife. Just whether my last name comes with a bank account." "Layla," Constance started. "No." Layla untied the apron, let it fall to the floor. "I'm done. I'm done making myself smaller for people who'll never see me anyway. She looked at Simone. Is she really outside? Yes, she's in the car. She didn't want to overwhelm you, she said. Simone's professional mask cracked just slightly. She said if you don't want to meet her, she'll understand. But she's been waiting 32 years for this moment. Layla thought about Grace, about Sunday dinners and Mary J. Blige, and a mother who'd loved her fiercely even though they didn't share blood. Grace had never told her about the adoption. Why? The letter in her hand felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I need to read this first, Layla said. Of course. Simone gestured to the security guards, who took up positions by the kitchen doors, giving her privacy, protecting her space. Layla broke the wax seal. My dearest Layla, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry for that, baby girl. I wanted to tell you this face to face, hold your hand through it, but I guess God had other plans. You were 6 months old when I adopted you, the most beautiful baby I'd ever seen. But your biological mother was 19, a student at MIT, brilliant beyond measure. Her parents were strict, traditional. When she got pregnant, they gave her 2 choices: give up the baby or give up everything. Her education, her family, her future. She chose you, even knowing it would destroy her. I was a nurse at the hospital where you were born. I saw her hold you for 6 hours straight, memorizing every detail of your face. When they made her sign the papers, she looked at me and said, "Promise me you'll tell her I loved her. Promise me she'll know I didn't want this." I promised. She gave you up so you could have the life she couldn't give you, so you could be loved without shame, raised without the weight of her family's disappointment. She was so young, Layla, so scared, but she made sure you went to someone who would love you. And I did. God, I loved you from that first moment. I never told you because she asked me not to. She said if she couldn't be your mother, she didn't want you to spend your life feeling torn between 2 women. She wanted you to have one mother who was all yours. So I gave you that. But I saved everything. Every letter she sent asking about you, there were dozens. Every birthday card she tried to mail before her parents stopped her. Every photo she managed to send through her college roommate. It's all in a box at my attorney's office waiting for you. She never stopped looking for you, baby. She became someone powerful, so she'd have the resources to find you. Everything she built so she could bring you home. I'm not asking you to forgive me for keeping this secret. I'm just asking you to understand that every choice I made because I loved you, and so did she. Go meet your mother, Layla. Let her tell you how much you were wanted. All my love, always, Mom. Layla's tears hit the paper, smudging Grace's careful handwriting. She pressed the letter to her chest and sobbed. Grief for Grace, confusion about this stranger who was her mother, anger that she'd lived 31 years not knowing the truth. A hand touched her shoulder. Jennifer had slipped into the kitchen. "Hey, you okay?" "I don't know." Layla wiped her face. "I don't know anything anymore." "You know you're loved. 2 mothers who loved you enough to make impossible choices." Jennifer squeezed her shoulder. "That's more than most people get." In the dining room, the murmur of shocked conversation, Derek's voice rising, defensive, Constance's sharp responses. Miles filming something on his phone again, probably trying to control the narrative on social media. Layla didn't care. She stood, smoothed her shirt, ran fingers through her hair, looked at Simone. "I want to meet her." The night air was cold against Layla's face. She stood on the front steps of the Whitmore estate, Simone beside her, the security guards a respectful distance behind. The circular driveway was full of cars, Mercedes, Teslas, a Bentley, old money showing off. But at the end of the drive, separate from the rest, sat a black SUV. As Layla watched, the back door opened. A woman stepped out, late 50s, wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her hair natural and silver-threaded. She stood by the car, hands clasped in front of her, not moving closer, waiting, letting Layla decide. Even from this distance, Layla could see it. The same eyes from the photograph. Her eyes. "She's been parked there for 2 hours, Simone said softly, "since before the dinner started. She wanted to be here when you were ready. If you were ready." Layla's feet moved before her brain caught up. Down the steps, across the driveway. Each step felt like walking through water, time stretching and bending around her. The woman, Vivian, her mother, watched her approach with an expression that broke Layla's heart. Hope and fear and desperate love all tangled together. They stopped 3 feet apart. "Hi," Vivian said, her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I practiced what I'd say for 32 years, and now I can't remember any of it." Layla laughed. It came out half-sob. "I don't know what to say either. Can I—" Vivian's hands lifted, hesitant. "Can I hug you? Is that okay?" Layla stepped forward. Vivian's arms came around her, and Layla smelled something familiar. Not a scent she remembered, but something deeper. Cellular. The way babies recognize their mothers. Vivian was shaking, or maybe Layla was shaking, or maybe they both were. "I looked for you," Vivian whispered into her hair. "Every day for 32 years. I never stopped." Layla pulled back to see her face. Tears streamed down Vivian's cheeks. "Grace said, the letter said you became successful so you could find me. I built an empire so I'd have the resources to search everywhere, hired the best investigators, developed facial recognition software, donated to adoption registries. Everything I did to bring you home." Vivian touched Layla's face with trembling fingers. "You look just like your grandmother. She passed away last year. She wanted so badly to meet you." Fresh grief opened in Layla's chest. "I have a grandmother?" "Had. But you have an uncle, my brother Marcus. He's been asking about you since he was 10 years old, and cousins, and—" Vivian's smile was watery. "A whole family who's been waiting to meet you. If you want to meet them." Behind Layla, voices. She turned. Derek stood on the steps, Constance and Miles beside him, watching. The entire dinner party had moved to the windows, faces pressed against glass. "I should go deal with that," Layla said. "You don't have to. Not tonight." Vivian glanced at the house, at the people watching like this was reality TV. "You don't owe them anything. You can just leave." Could she? Could she really just walk away from 2 years of marriage, from the life she'd built with Derek, or from everything she'd tried so hard to make work? She looked at the house, at Derek, who'd let his mother humiliate her tonight, who chose his trust fund over her dignity every single time, who said he loved her but never fought for her when it mattered. Then she looked at Vivian, at this woman who'd spent 3 decades searching for her, who built a billion-dollar company just to have the resources to find her daughter, who'd been sitting in a car for 2 hours waiting for a chance to meet her. "I have some things inside," Layla said. "My phone, my purse, Grace's jewelry box." "I'll send someone," Vivian started. "No, I need to do this." Layla took a breath. "I need to walk back in there and choose myself for once." Vivian's smile was proud. "That's my daughter." The dining room fell silent when Layla walked back inside. 60 people, frozen mid-conversation, staring at her like she was a ghost. Derek met her in the foyer. "Layla, we need to talk." "Yeah, we do." She kept walking toward the stairs. He followed. "I didn't know," he said, "about your birth mother, about any of this." "I know." Layla reached the bedroom they'd shared for 2 years, started gathering her things, her phone charger, the photo of Grace on the nightstand, the jewelry box with Grace's pearls inside. "But you knew what your mother was doing tonight," she continued, opening the closet. "You knew she made me put on that apron. You knew Miles was filming me for his social media. You knew they were treating me like hired help in your family's home." "I was going to talk to them. After. You were going to talk to them after the investors left, after it was convenient. After it didn't cost you anything." She pulled out a suitcase. "You're always going to talk to them later, Derek, and I'm done waiting for later." He grabbed her arm, not hard, but enough to stop her. "I love you. You love the idea of me. You love having a wife who's different from your usual crowd. You love telling your friends you married someone real." She pulled her arm free. "But you don't love me enough to stand up to your mother, and I don't love myself enough to keep accepting that." "So that's it? You're just leaving? Some woman shows up claiming to be your mother and you're just going to walk away from our marriage?" Layla stopped packing, looked at him, really looked at him. He was handsome, charming when he wanted to be. But he'd swept her off her feet 2 years ago with romantic gestures and promises of a life bigger than she'd imagined. She'd loved him. Maybe she still did, somewhere under all the hurt, but love wasn't enough, not when it was one-sided, not when it came with conditions. "That woman is my mother," Layla said quietly. "She spent 32 years looking for me. She built a company from nothing so she'd have the resources to find me. Your mother spent 30 seconds tonight deciding I should wear an apron to remind me of my place." She zipped the suitcase. "I'm not walking away from our marriage, Derek. You walked away from it every time you chose them over me. I'm just finally accepting that." She pulled off her wedding ring, set it on the dresser. "Layla, please. I hope you find someone who fits into your family better than I did. Someone your mother approves of. Someone who doesn't mind being treated like they don't matter." She picked up her suitcase. "I hope you're happy, I really do." She walked past him, down the stairs, through the foyer. 60 people watched her go. No one tried to stop her. Constance stood by the door. For a moment, Layla thought she might apologize, might say something human. "You'll regret this," Constance said instead, "walking away from this family, this life." Layla paused, looked at this woman who'd made her feel small for 2 years, who'd criticized everything from her clothes to her cooking to the way she laughed, who'd never once asked about her life, her dreams, her pain. "The only thing I regret," Layla said, "is not walking away sooner." She stepped out into the night. Vivian was still there, standing by her car, waiting. Ready?" Vivian asked. Layla thought about Grace, about Sunday dinners and Mary J. Blige and a mother who'd loved her enough to let her go, about Vivian, who'd loved her enough to never stop searching. "Yeah," she said, "I'm ready." The SUV smelled like leather and something floral. Jasmine, maybe. Layla sat in the back seat next to Vivian, her suitcase in the trunk, the Whitmore estate disappearing behind them. "Where are we going?" Layla asked. "My place, if that's okay." Vivian's hands were clasped tight in her lap. "Or a hotel if you'd prefer. Whatever makes you comfortable." "Your place is fine." They drove in silence for a few minutes. The city lights blurred past the windows. Layla felt untethered, like she was floating somewhere between her old life and whatever came next. "Can I ask you something?" Vivian said finally. "Yeah. That man. Your husband. Did he—" She stopped, started again. "Were you happy with him?" Layla thought about how to answer. The truth felt too big, too complicated. "I thought I was, in the beginning." She watched the city slide past. "He was different from anyone I'd dated, confident, successful. He made me feel like I could be part of his world. But his world didn't want me in it, and eventually he stopped fighting for me to stay." Layla turned to look at Vivian. "Grace used to say, 'Baby, don't love anyone more than they love themselves. You'll lose every time.' I should have listened." Vivian's smile was sad. "Grace sounds like she was wise." She was. Layla touched the envelope in her pocket. Grace's letter. She loved me, even though I wasn't hers by blood. She loved me like I was. "I'm grateful to her," Vivian said softly. "I've spent 32 years hoping you were with someone who loved you, hoping you were happy." "Were you happy?" Layla asked, "after you gave me up?" Vivian was quiet for a long moment. The driver turned onto a tree-lined street in Pacific Heights, old Victorians and modern mansions side by side. "No," Vivian said finally. "I wasn't happy for a long time. I threw myself into school, into work, into building something so big it could distract me from what I'd lost. I dated, eventually, even got engaged once. But I couldn't—" Her voice cracked. "I couldn't move forward when I didn't know where you were, if you were safe, if you were loved." The SUV pulled up to a Victorian painted in soft gray and white, lights glowing warm in the windows. "This is home," Vivian said. It's inside. The house was beautiful, but lived in. Family photos on the walls, books stacked on tables, a pair of reading glasses abandoned on the couch. It smelled like vanilla and coffee. "Marcus!" Vivian called. "She's here!" Footsteps thundered down the stairs. A man appeared, late 40s, tall, with Vivian's eyes and an expression of barely contained excitement. "You're here," he breathed. "You're actually here. Layla, this is your Uncle Marcus, my brother." Vivian's hand found Layla's back, steadying. "Marcus, this is my daughter. This is Layla." Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides and swept Layla into a hug that lifted her off her feet. 32 years, he said into her hair. 32 years we've been waiting for you. When he set her down, his eyes were wet. I'm sorry. I'm coming on too strong. Viv said I'd come on too strong. It's okay. Layla found herself smiling despite everything. It's nice. Being wanted. Are you kidding? You're all we've talked about for 3 decades. Marcus gestured toward the living room. Come on, sit. Are you hungry? Thirsty? We have everything. Viv made me go to 3 different stores earlier because she didn't know what you'd like. I'm okay. Thank you. They sat in the living room, Layla on the couch, Vivian beside her, Marcus in the armchair across from them. For a moment, no one spoke. They just looked at each other, 3 strangers who were also family. I don't know where to start, Vivian said finally. There's so much I want to tell you, so much I want to know about you. Start with why, Layla said. Your letter, Grace's letter, said your parents forced you to give me up. But I need to hear it from you. I need to understand. Vivian nodded. She'd been expecting this. I was 19, a sophomore at MIT studying computer science. Your father, his name was Daniel, was a graduate student. We met in the library, fell in love fast and hard the way young people do. Her expression went distant, remembering. When I got pregnant, I was terrified, but I wanted to keep you. I wanted to figure it out. She took a shaky breath. My parents are very traditional, old-school black family values, education first, marriage before children, specific expectations about how life should go. When I told them I was pregnant, my father said I had 2 choices. Give you up for adoption and stay in the family, or keep you and lose everything. My tuition, my home, my family name, everything. What did Daniel say? Layla asked. He wanted to get married. Drop out, get jobs, raise you together. Vivian's smile was bitter. We were 19 and stupid and in love. We thought we could make it work. But my parents threatened to have him expelled, destroy his academic career. They had connections, money, power. They would have done it. So you gave me up to protect him? I gave you up because I was a scared 19-year-old girl who believed her parents when they said a baby would ruin all our lives. Vivian's voice broke. I believed them when they said adoption was the loving choice, that you'd have a better life without me. I was young and stupid, and I made the worst decision of my entire life. Tears streamed down her face now. I held you for 6 hours, memorized your face, tried to imprint myself on you somehow. Like if I loved you hard enough in those 6 hours, you'd feel it forever. Then I signed the papers and they took you away and She couldn't continue. Marcus handed her tissues. His own eyes were red. She fell apart, he said quietly. Dropped out of MIT for a semester. Mom and Dad thought she'd get over it, move on. They didn't understand that you don't get over losing a child. You just learn to live with the hole they leave behind. I went back to school eventually, Vivian continued, wiping her eyes. Finished my degree. Started a company because I needed something to pour all that grief and rage into. Made my first million by 25, my first billion by 40. And every dollar I made, I spent looking for you. She reached for Layla's hand, hesitant. Layla let her take it. I hired investigators. Developed facial recognition software. Donated to adoption registries. Funded laws that help adoptees access their birth records. I searched everywhere. But Grace had moved you out of state, changed both your names. The trail went cold. Until 3 months ago, Marcus added, when you got married and changed your name to Whitmore. Your marriage certificate was public record. The facial recognition software Vivian developed finally found a match. Layla's head spun. You've known where I was for 3 months? I wanted to be sure, Vivian said quickly. I didn't want to show up in your life if you didn't want to be found. So I had Simone watch from a distance, make sure you were okay, figure out the right way to approach you. Her expression hardened. What we saw was that family treating you like you were nothing. Your husband letting them. I was going to wait, be patient. But tonight, watching them humiliate you, I couldn't wait anymore. I'm glad you didn't wait, Layla squeezed her hand. I needed someone to see me. I see you, baby. I've always seen you. They sat like that for a while, holding hands, crying together. Marcus eventually got up and came back with a box. "Mom asked me to give this to you," he said, setting it on the coffee table. "Everything she saved from before, everything Vivian sent over the years." Layla opened the box with shaking hands. Inside were letters, dozens of them, addressed to Layla Mitchell in care of Grace Mitchell, some opened, most not. Birthday cards for every year from 0 to 18. Photos of Vivian at various ages, graduation, starting her company, holding an award, always with an undercurrent of sadness in her eyes. And a small blue blanket, soft and worn. "I wrapped you in that when you were born," Vivian said. Grace let me keep it. Layla lifted the blanket, pressed it to her face. It smelled old, dusty, but underneath she could have sworn she caught something else. Something like, "Coming home." "There's more family who wants to meet you," Marcus said gently. "Cousins, aunts and uncles on Mom's side who never agreed with what Grandma and Grandpa did. A whole community that's been waiting for you." "What about your parents?" Layla asked Vivian. "My grandparents." Vivian's expression went cold. "They made their choice 32 years ago. They chose their pride over their granddaughter. I haven't spoken to them in 20 years. Do they know you found me? I called my mother this afternoon. She told her I was meeting you tonight." Vivian's jaw tightened. "She said I was making a mistake, that I should let the past stay in the past. I hung up on her." Good, Layla thought, but she didn't say it out loud. "I'm tired," she admitted instead. It's been a really long night." "Of course, I'm sorry." Vivian stood immediately. "I'll show you to your room. Marcus, give us some space." Yeah. Marcus hugged Layla again. "I'm so glad you're here. Sleep well." Upstairs, Vivian led Layla to a bedroom that looked like it had been carefully prepared. Fresh flowers on the dresser, new toiletries in the attached bathroom, soft blankets on the bed. "I didn't know what you'd like," Vivian said, hovering in the doorway. "So I got everything. If you need anything at all, I'm right down the hall." "Vivian?" Layla turned to face her. "Thank you. For not giving up. For looking for me." Vivian crossed the room and cupped Layla's face in her hands. "You're my daughter. I would have searched for 100 years if that's what it took." She pressed a kiss to Layla's forehead. "Sleep well, baby. We'll figure everything else out tomorrow." After she left, Layla sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out her phone. 17 missed calls from Derek, 32 texts. She turned her phone off without reading them. She lay down in this stranger's house that somehow felt safer than anywhere she'd lived in 2 years, wrapped herself in the fresh blankets, closed her eyes. And for the first time in a long time, she slept through the night without waking. Layla woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee drifting up the stairs. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The apron, the letter, Vivian, walking away from Derek and the life she'd tried so hard to make work. Her phone was still off. She left it that way. Downstairs, voices, laughter, the clatter of dishes. Layla pulled on yesterday's clothes and followed the sounds to the kitchen. Vivian stood at the stove, flipping pancakes. Marcus sat at the island with a newspaper and coffee. A woman Layla didn't recognize was setting the table. Late 30s, dark skin, natural hair pulled back in a puff. They all turned when Layla appeared. "Good morning," Vivian said, her smile tentative, like she was afraid Layla might have changed her mind overnight. I hope you slept okay." "I did. Better than I have in months, actually." "Layla, this is my best friend Shayla. She's also my COO at the company." Vivian gestured to the woman. "Shayla, this is your daughter." Shayla crossed the room and hugged Layla like they were old friends. "Girl, I've been hearing about you for 30 years. It's good to finally meet you." "Shayla's the one who found you," Marcus said. "Her team, anyway. The facial recognition software." "Team effort." Shayla poured Layla coffee without asking, added cream and sugar, somehow knew exactly how she took it. "But yeah, when that software pinged your marriage certificate photo, we all cried. Viv couldn't even look at the screen for 10 minutes. Layla sat at the island, coffee warming her hands. This felt surreal. Yesterday morning she'd woken up in Derek's bed, alone because he'd left early for a breakfast meeting without waking her. Now she was in a kitchen full of people who looked like her, talked like her, wanted her there. "So," Marcus folded his newspaper. What's the plan? Plan? Layla asked. You can't go back to that house, Vivian said firmly. Not after what they did. And you shouldn't have to see them again if you don't want to. I need to get my things eventually. All my clothes, Grace's photos, my... Layla stopped. What else did she have there? Her catering equipment was in storage because Constance said it was tacky to have it in the house. Her furniture had been replaced with the Whitmore family's choices. Even her books had been moved to the garage because they didn't match the aesthetic. She'd erased herself one piece at a time until there was nothing left. We'll send someone, Shayla said, pulling out her phone. Give me a list. My people will pack it up. Bring it here. Just like that? Just like that. Shayla's expression was serious. You're family now. We take care of family. Layla's throat tightened. She nodded, not trusting her voice. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, still off, but the vibration meant someone was trying to call. Probably Derek. Or worse, Constance, trying to control the narrative. You should know, Marcus said carefully. It's already online. The whole thing from last night. Miles posted video before he realized who Vivian was. Then he deleted it, but people had already screen recorded. Layla's stomach dropped. What are people saying? That you're a secret heiress. That the Whitmores humiliated you at their own party. That Derek's a fool for letting his family treat you that way. Marcus showed her his phone. The video had millions of views. Comments ranged from supportive to vicious to fascinated. One comment stood out. This is like a real-life Cinderella story, but the prince is trash. Layla laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. Hey, Vivian's hand on her shoulder. We can make them take it down. Shayla knows people. We can... No. Layla set down her coffee. Let them see it. Let everyone see what they did. Maybe it'll make them think twice before they treat someone else like that. That's my girl, Shayla said approvingly. They ate breakfast together. Pancakes, bacon, scrambled eggs. Marcus told stories about Vivian as a young CEO, barely older than Layla was now, taking on board meetings full of men twice her age. Shayla shared memories of late nights building the company, the early failures, the eventual success. Layla listened, trying to imagine this powerful woman as the scared 19-year-old from the photograph, the girl who'd held her baby for 6 hours and then let her go. What was he like? Layla asked during a pause in conversation. My father, Daniel. The kitchen went quiet. Vivian set down her fork. He was kind, brilliant, a little awkward in that academic way, you know? He used to read poetry to you when you were still in my belly. Her smile was distant. After I gave you up, he transferred to a different university. We tried to stay together, but everything reminded us of what we'd lost. We broke up before graduation. Where's he now? I don't know. We lost touch after college. I looked for him a few times over the years. But Vivian shrugged. I think it hurt too much. Being around each other. We were a reminder of what we'd given up. He doesn't know you found me? Not yet, but I can find him, if you want to meet him. Layla thought about it. One new parent was overwhelming enough. Maybe eventually, not yet. Whenever you're ready. Layla's phone buzzed again and again, a steady stream of calls. You should probably deal with that, Marcus said gently. She turned her phone on. 53 missed calls, 87 text messages, 3 voicemails. Most from Derek, several from numbers she didn't recognize. Probably reporters. One text stood out. From Jennifer, Derek's college friend. Jennifer, good for you. You deserved better than that family. Always did. Layla opened the voicemails. Put it on speaker. Derek's voice desperate. Layla, please call me back. We need to talk. This is insane. You can't just walk away from our marriage because of one bad night. One bad night, like it hadn't been 2 years of bad nights. 2 years of choosing his family over her. 2 years of watching her disappear. Second voicemail. Derek again. My mother wants to apologize. Miles took the video down. We can fix this. Just come home and we'll talk. Third voicemail. Different voice. A woman, cold and precise. Ms. Mitchell, this is Patricia Reeves from Hayes & Associates. I'm calling on behalf of the Whitmore family. They're prepared to offer a generous settlement in exchange for your discretion regarding last night's incident. Please call me at your earliest convenience. They're trying to pay you off, Shayla said flatly. What incident? Marcus looked confused. They humiliated her at a party. That's not illegal. No, but it's embarrassing, bad for their reputation. Vivian's expression had gone cold, professional. And now that they know who Layla is, who her family is, they're scared. Mitchell Technologies could destroy them if we wanted to. Could we? Layla asked. Probably. Vivian met her eyes. I've been looking into their business since last night. The Whitmores own a chain of boutique hotels. They're overextended, heavily leveraged. If we wanted to, we could buy up their debt, call in their loans, tank their stock. We could make them hurt. The words hung in the air. Tempting, seductive. But, Layla prompted, but that would make us just like them, using money and power to crush people who hurt us? Vivian's expression softened. I didn't spend 30 years building an empire so I could become the villain. I built it so I could find you. Now that I have you, revenge doesn't matter as much as it did yesterday. What if I want revenge? Layla said quietly. Everyone looked at her. They made me feel worthless. They made me question everything about myself. Her voice cracked. They made me put on an apron and serve them in my own family's home while they laughed at me. While Derek did nothing. While 60 people watched and probably posted it online. I'm not okay with that. I'm not going to just let it go. Then don't. Shayla leaned forward. But be smart about it. Don't destroy them financially. That's what they do. Destroy them with truth. Show everyone exactly who they are. How? Marcus grinned. You're asking the wrong question. Not how. It's when. That afternoon, Layla returned Derek's call. She wasn't ready, but hiding wouldn't make this go away. He answered on the first ring. Layla, thank God, where are you? That's not your business anymore. Of course it's my business. You're my wife. I was your wife. I'm not sure I am anymore. She was sitting in Vivian's office, looking out at the city. Shayla and Marcus had offered to stay, but she'd asked for privacy. This conversation needed to be hers alone. Don't say that. Layla, please, come home. Let's talk about this like adults. Like adults. She laughed bitter. Derek, adults stand up for their partners. Adults don't let their mothers humiliate their wives at dinner parties. Adults don't ask their spouse to just go with it when they're being treated like garbage. I know, you're right. I should have done more. But I can change. We can fix this. Can you? Can you really stand up to your mother? Tell her no, choose me over your trust fund? Silence. That's what I thought, Layla said. It's not that simple. It is that simple. That's the problem. You think it's complicated because you've never had to choose before. You've always had everything. The money, the family approval, the wife who loved you enough to make herself smaller. But you can't have all of it anymore. You have to choose. I choose you. You're choosing me now because I have money, because I'm Vivian Mitchell's daughter and that makes me valuable to your family. But when I was just Layla, the catering girl with no connections, you didn't choose me then. You chose them every time. That's not fair. Fair? Her voice rose. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair to make me wear an apron at your family's party? Was it fair to let Miles film me for his social media? Was it fair to stand there and do nothing while your mother told 60 people that I was beneath your family? I said I was sorry. Sorry isn't enough. She was shaking now. Sorry doesn't fix 2 years of me disappearing. Sorry doesn't give me back the person I was before I married into your family. Sorry doesn't... She stopped, took a breath. She wouldn't let him hear her cry. I'm filing for divorce, she said quietly. Layla, no, please. Let's just... I already talked to a lawyer. Vivian's lawyer, actually. Papers will be filed by tomorrow. You'll get your ring back. I don't want anything from your family. Not the condo, not the cars, nothing. I just want my freedom. You can't just throw away 2 years. You threw it away the first time you let your mother disrespect me and said nothing. I'm just finally accepting that it's over. She stood, walked to the window. Down below, the city moved on, oblivious to her small personal devastation. Goodbye, Derek. I hope you find someone who fits into your world better than I did. Layla, she hung up, turned off her phone, sat down in Vivian's chair and finally let herself cry. 3 weeks after leaving the Whitmore estate, Layla still woke up some mornings forgetting where she was. She'd roll over expecting to see Derek's side of the bed, empty because he'd left for an early meeting without saying goodbye. Instead, she'd see the cream-colored walls of her room in Vivian's house, sunlight filtering through gauze curtains, is the sound of Marcus making breakfast downstairs. Those mornings were the hardest, when muscle memory expected one life and reality delivered another. The divorce papers had been filed. Derek's lawyer had tried to negotiate. Apparently, the Whitmores wanted Layla to sign an NDA about the dinner party incident. Layla's lawyer, a sharp woman named Rebecca who worked for Vivian's firm, had laughed in their faces. "You humiliated her publicly," Rebecca had said during the one meeting Layla had attended. "You filmed it, posted it online, and now you want her silence? You should be grateful she's not suing you for emotional distress." The Whitmores had backed down. The divorce would be finalized in a few months. Clean break, no assets exchanged. Layla had moved her stuff out of the condo. Shayla had sent a team like she promised, and now her entire life fit into 3 boxes in Vivian's garage. 3 boxes. That's what 2 years of marriage had left her with. She should have felt free. Instead, she felt hollow. "You're doing it again," Marcus said one morning, finding her staring into coffee she'd forgotten to drink. "Doing what?" "Disappearing inside your head. Same look Viv used to get after she gave you up. Like she was there but not there, you know?" Layla set down the cold coffee. "I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Everyone keeps saying I'm free now, I can do anything. But I don't know what I want. I gave up my catering business, gave up my apartment, gave up everything to be Derek's wife. Now I'm not his wife and I don't know who I'm supposed to be." Marcus sat across from her. "You're Layla, that's enough." "Is it? Because I'm not sure who that is anymore." "Then maybe it's time to figure it out." He pushed a folder across the table. "Viv asked me to give you this. She didn't want to pressure you, but, well, take a look." Inside the folder were papers, a business proposal. Mitchell Technologies was launching a new division focused on hospitality technology. Smart hotels, AI-driven customer service, sustainable luxury accommodations. They wanted to hire someone with hospitality experience to consult. Someone like Layla. "She's offering me a job." "She's offering you a choice. You can take it or not. Work for the company or don't. Live here as long as you want or find your own place." Whatever you need." Marcus's expression was gentle. "She just wants you to know you have options. You're not stuck." Layla closed the folder, stared at it like it might bite her. A job, a real job, not catering gigs she had to hide from the Whitmores, a purpose beyond being someone's wife. The idea terrified her. "I need some air," she said, standing abruptly. "Layla," but she was already grabbing her jacket, heading for the door. She walked for hours, through Golden Gate Park, past the conservatory, along paths she'd never explored. Her phone buzzed occasionally, texts from Vivian asking if she was okay, from Shayla inviting her to lunch, from Marcus apologizing for pushing too hard. She ignored all of them. By the time she found herself at Ocean Beach, the sun was starting to set. The fog was rolling in, cold and damp. She sat on the sand and watched the waves. Grace used to bring her to the beach when she was little. They'd walk for hours, collecting shells, talking about nothing and everything. Grace had never pushed her to be anything except herself. But who was that? Who was Layla Mitchell when she wasn't trying to fit into someone else's expectations? "I thought I might find you here." Layla turned. Vivian stood a few feet away, hands in her pockets, hair blowing in the wind. "Marcus texted you." "He was worried. So was I." Vivian sat down beside her, not touching, just present. "You ran." I recognized the impulse. "I'm not running. I'm just scared," Vivian finished, "overwhelmed, unsure who you are when you're not trying to be what someone else needs." "I get it, baby. I've been there." They sat in silence for a moment. I'm watching the waves crash against the shore. "After I gave you up," Vivian said quietly, "I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't the daughter my parents wanted. I'd failed their expectations spectacularly. I wasn't a mother because I'd given away my child. I wasn't a girlfriend because Daniel and I couldn't survive the grief. I was just empty, a shell of a person going through the motions." "What changed?" "I got angry." Vivian's smile was sharp. "I realized my parents had taken everything from me. My baby, my choices, my sense of self. and I decided I was going to build something so big they could never control me again. So I threw myself into my company, became someone powerful enough that they couldn't hurt me anymore." She turned to face Layla. "But you know what I realized after 30 years of building that empire? Revenge and power and success, none of it filled the hole you left behind. None of it made me whole." "Then what did?" "Nothing. That's the thing, Layla. You don't get over losing yourself. You don't wake up one day and suddenly know who you are again. You just—" Vivian gestured helplessly. "You just start making choices, small ones at first. What you want for breakfast, what music you want to listen to, what makes you feel alive. And slowly, one choice at a time, you build a person you recognize in the mirror." Layla's eyes burned. "I'm 31 years old. I should know who I am by now." "Says who? Derek? His family? The voice in your head that sounds suspiciously like Constance Whitmore?" Vivian reached for her hand. "Baby, you spent 2 years erasing yourself to fit into someone else's life. It's going to take more than 3 weeks to find yourself again. What if I can't? What if I'm just broken now?" "Then you're broken. So what?" Vivian squeezed her hand. "Broken doesn't mean worthless. Broken doesn't mean unlovable. Broken just means human." Layla leaned into her mother's shoulder, let herself be held while the fog rolled in and the waves crashed and the world kept turning despite her small personal devastation. "I don't want to work for your company," she said finally. "Okay. I don't want a job because I'm your daughter and you feel obligated to help me." "Okay. I want to rebuild my catering business. Do it right this time, on my own terms." Layla pulled back to look at Vivian. "But I don't know if I can. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Then you'll fail, and you'll try again." "Ah, that's how this works." Vivian's expression was fierce. "But Layla, listen to me. You are good enough. You've always been good enough. The Whitmores made you doubt that because small people need to make others feel smaller to feel big themselves. Don't let them take that from you." "I'm scared." "I know, baby, but you know what? Being scared means you're doing something that matters. Being comfortable, that's when you should worry." They sat there until the sun disappeared completely and the fog swallowed the beach. Finally, Vivian stood, offered her hand. "Come on, let's go home. Shayla made her famous jambalaya and Marcus bought too much wine as usual. We're not letting you disappear inside your head. Not tonight." Layla took her hand. Let herself be pulled to her feet. Let herself be led back to the car. It was back to the house full of people who wanted her there. It didn't fix everything. She was still scared, still uncertain, still grieving the life she'd thought she was building with Derek. But maybe that was okay. Maybe broken was where you started, not where you ended. That night, unable to sleep, Layla opened her laptop, started making lists. Business plan for the catering company, menu ideas, potential clients, equipment she'd need to buy. She worked until 3 in the morning, fueled by cold coffee and something that felt dangerously like hope. When she finally crawled into bed, exhausted but satisfied, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hi, this is Jennifer, Derek's friend from college. I hope it's okay I'm texting. I got your number from someone at the party who saw you give it to the florist. I just wanted to say, what you did took courage. Walking away, choosing yourself. I wish I'd had that courage years ago. Good luck with everything." Layla stared at the text, thought about all the women who'd watched her humiliation that night. How many of them were in marriages like hers, relationships where they made themselves smaller to fit into someone else's expectations. She typed back, "Thank you. It's never too late to choose yourself. I'm learning that." 3 dots appeared. Then, "Maybe you're right. Thank you for showing me it's possible." Layla set down her phone and closed her eyes. Tomorrow she'd keep building her business plan. Tomorrow she'd figure out her next steps. Tomorrow she'd continue the hard work of becoming herself again. But tonight, for the first time in 3 weeks, she fell asleep without crying. 6 months later, Layla stood in front of her new commercial kitchen, keys in hand, heart pounding. The space was small, just 1,500 square feet in the Mission District, but it was hers. Stainless steel counters, professional-grade ovens, storage for all the equipment she'd kept in storage for 2 years because Constance said it was tacky. Soulful Gatherings Catering. Marcus read the sign above the door. I like it. Very you. You think? Layla was second-guessing everything. The name, the location, the entire concept. What if nobody hired her? What if she'd given up a stable marriage for a business that failed? I know. Vivian came up beside her, squeezed her shoulder. This is exactly what you were meant to do. Stop doubting yourself. Layla unlocked the door. Inside smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Shayla had already filled the refrigerators with ingredients for Layla's first event, a small dinner party for 20 people, a test run before she officially opened for business. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it at first, too overwhelmed by the moment, but it kept buzzing. Finally, she checked. Rebecca, lawyer. Divorce finalized. You're officially free. Layla stared at the text. 6 months of paperwork, negotiations, Derek's attempts to delay the process. And now it was done. She was no longer Mrs. Derek Whitmore. She was just Layla Mitchell again. Or maybe not just anything. Maybe simply Layla Mitchell was enough. Everything okay? Vivian asked. Yeah, Layla pocketed her phone. Everything's good. Really good, actually. They spent the afternoon prepping for the dinner party. Marcus helped organize storage. Shayla taste-tested everything, offering feedback in between phone calls for Mitchell Technologies. Vivian mostly stayed out of the way, but Layla would catch her watching with an expression of such fierce pride it made Layla's chest tight. This was family. Real family. People who showed up not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Because they saw her and valued her and believed in her dreams, even when she struggled to believe in them herself. Around 4, the door chimed. Layla looked up from the collard greens she was preparing. Derek stood in the doorway. The kitchen went silent. Marcus straightened, protective. Shayla's hand moved toward her phone, probably ready to call security. Vivian's expression could have frozen fire. I'm not here to cause trouble, Derek said quickly, hands up. I heard about your business. Saw the announcement online. I wanted to say congratulations. Layla wiped her hands on her apron, a different apron this time, one she'd chosen, one that represented her business, her dream, her choice. Thank you, she said simply. Can we talk? Just for a minute? Layla glanced at Vivian, who gave her a subtle nod. Your choice. Always your choice. 5 minutes, Layla said. Outside. They stood on the sidewalk, the afternoon sun warm on Layla's face. Derek looked different, thinner, tired. His suit was expensive, but wrinkled, like he'd slept in it. You look good, he said. Happy. I am happy. I'm glad. He shoved his hands in his pockets. I wanted to apologize, really apologize, not the bullshit I said on the phone 6 months ago. You were right about everything. I was weak. I chose my family over you every time. And I told myself I was keeping the peace, but really I was just a coward. Layla waited. She'd imagined this conversation 100 times in the past 6 months. In her imagination, she'd been angry, vindictive, triumphant. But standing here now, she just felt tired and a little sad for both of them. My mother tried to get me to contest the divorce, Derek continued, said we should fight you on the settlement, make you sign the NDA, protect the family reputation. I told her no. Told her if she couldn't support my choices, I didn't want her money anymore. Derek, I cut them off. My parents, Miles, all of it. Got my own place, started actually working at the company instead of just collecting a paycheck. Turns out I'm actually pretty good at my job when I'm not worried about impressing my mother. He laughed, bitter. She took losing you to figure out who I was without them. I'm proud of you, Layla said and meant it. That took courage. Too little, too late though. His smile was sad. I lost you. I deserve that. I just wanted you to know. Seeing you walk away that night, choosing yourself when I wouldn't choose you. It woke me up, made me realize what a coward I'd been. So thank you for having the courage I couldn't find. Layla thought about how to respond. Part of her wanted to tell him he was right. It was too late. He'd hurt her too badly. But she'd spent 6 months learning that holding on to anger only hurt herself. I hope you find someone who fits your life better than I did, she said finally. Someone you'll fight for, and I hope you keep standing up to your mother. Not for me, for yourself. I will. He glanced at the kitchen through the window. They seem like good people. Your family. They are? The best. I'm glad you found them. Found yourself. He backed toward his car. Good luck with the business, Layla. I mean it. You're going to be amazing. She watched him drive away, felt the last thread of her old life snap and fall away. And underneath wasn't grief or anger or regret, just peace. The dinner party that evening was perfect. 20 guests from Layla's old client list. People who'd loved her food before she married Derek, before Constance made her give up most of her business. They'd all jumped at the chance to book her again. Layla served fried chicken with a honey bourbon glaze, collard greens cooked with smoked turkey, and a touch of apple cider vinegar. A mac and cheese that was creamy and sharp and perfect. Cornbread that melted in your mouth. Sweet potato pie with a ginger molasses crust. Each dish was something Grace had taught her, recipes passed down and perfected, food that tasted like home and love and tradition. The guests raved, took photos, asked for business cards. By the end of the night, Layla had 3 more bookings and a request to cater a wedding for 80 people. See, Marcus said, helping her clean up. Told you, you're meant for this. Layla looked around her kitchen, at the happy exhaustion on everyone's faces, at Vivian washing dishes even though Layla had told her she didn't have to, at Shayla organizing the bookings in her phone, already talking about marketing strategy, at her uncle, her mother, her chosen family, all here supporting her dream. 6 months ago, she'd been wearing an apron in the Whitmore kitchen, serving people who looked down on her. Tonight, she'd worn an apron in her own kitchen, feeding people who appreciated her work. Same apron, different life, all the difference in the world. Thank you, Layla said to all of them, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. That's what family does, Vivian said simply. 1 year later, Layla catered a tech conference at the Moscone Center, 300 guests. Mitchell Technologies was one of the sponsors. She was plating dessert when she noticed a man watching her from across the room. Tall, kind eyes, wearing a name tag that said, Daniel Chen, software engineer. Something about him felt familiar. He approached slowly. I don't usually do this, but your food is incredible. My compliments to the chef? Layla smiled. Thank you. Do I know you from somewhere? I don't think so, but... He paused, studying her face. You have a really familiar smile. Have we met before? She was about to say no when Vivian appeared beside her, stopped dead, stared at the man. Daniel? Vivian whispered. He turned. His face went pale. Vivian? I didn't know. I wouldn't have come if... It's okay. Vivian's hand found Layla's, squeezed. Actually, it's perfect timing. Daniel, this is my daughter. This is Layla. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Shock, joy, tears. My daughter, he breathed. You found her. We found each other, Layla corrected, and standing there between her parents, the woman who'd searched for her for 32 years and the man who'd never stopped wondering, Layla felt something click into place. Not completion, exactly. She didn't need them to be whole, but connection, belonging, the knowledge that she'd been loved and wanted and worth fighting for all along. Would you like to get coffee sometime? Layla asked her father. I'd like to hear about you, about both of you, about what happened and who you became after. Daniel's smile matched hers exactly. I'd like that very much. Behind them, through the conference center windows, the San Francisco fog was rolling in. But Layla wasn't cold anymore. She was home. Finally, completely, undeniably home.